What's a significant emotional event? I can tell you one thing that sure is, a decision to spend $15,000 to $20,000 hard-earned dollars for a luxury automobile. That's enough money to stir up some emotion no matter how much money you've got. But that's your job as a Cadillac salesperson, right? Not only trigger a decision to buy a luxury car, but a decision to buy a Cadillac instead of a Mercedes, Continental, Buick, whatever. It's a tough job, particularly with today's economy. There's no question about that. The more you know about human behavior, what makes your customers tick and what makes you tick, the better chance you have to force that buying decision. Create a significant emotional sales event. That's what we're going to talk about, how to create significant emotional events. But before we do, let's review the value system I discussed on the Spectrum 80 video disc. We can classify your customers by age groups and predict certain gut-level values that each group will share because of the similar experiences they shared as they were growing up. If we ask, where were they when they were value programmed? What were the major forces in their childhood? What happened during their youth as far as programming their gut-level values? Then we'll have an idea of how their values today are used to relate to the world around them, to make decisions. Those value systems determine how they work, raise their kids, vote, and purchase products. The traditional group of people was value programmed during the 1920s through the 1940s. These people are very similar in many ways. This is a group that you're probably most concerned with now because they're the major source of sales now. The challenger group consists of people in their 20s and 30s. These people value programmed through a completely different period of time. They are different in so many ways at a gut level. They're rejectionist. They grew up rejecting, questioning the old ways of doing things, the old products, the old assumptions. This is a group that's buying more and more Cadillacs each year. Okay, the third group, aptly called in-betweeners. They're caught in between. They don't know exactly where they belong. They can literally go in either direction. They share some of the traditional gut values, some of the challenger values. They can go either way in terms of their decision to purchase a particular type of product. They're probably the most difficult to understand because they do occupy this unique position, one way or the other. They're a composite, a combination. They worry a lot about just missing it. What they're missing, they don't know, but they search, and maybe a Cadillac could be just the answer. It's very important to understand the challenger's values because they may be part of even the dominant influence on an in-between customer. And these in-betweeners are becoming a significant factor in the luxury car market. Now, if you understand the gut values in each of these groups, you can sell more effectively because you'll have a better idea as to how to tailor your sales presentation, how to push the benefits that are most likely to appeal to each different type of consumer. Let's go over some of the major values in the traditional and challenger groups, recognizing that the in-betweener shares in those values, to some degree, both directions. Traditionals have a team group concept. They like teams, get excited, turned on by being part of a group. They like to work together. They're followers. They're satisfied with the way things are, the way things have always been. Now, if they're already driving a Cadillac, you play on their loyalty, the continuing Cadillac reputation, continuing Cadillac quality and engineering excellence, the continuing Cadillac prestige. Make these people feel emotionally secure. Nothing's changed. Cadillac's still the standard of the world. They're status conscious, and it's not going to hurt one bit if you remark that Dr. Frazier, you know, the dean of the engineering school, just picked up his new Seville yesterday. Or Pat Warden, you know, the tax attorney that handles First National Bank. He's just ordered an Eldorado in gray. For traditionalists, products are an important part of their identity, who they are. These people want to be part of the group, do what the other members of their group are doing, buy the same cars, live the same lifestyle, reinforce their group identification feelings. On the other hand, if your consumer leans toward the challenger group, one of his major traits is being an individual. He'll question everything, challenge your facts. He doesn't want to be a member of a group. He wants to be unique, different. Even now, if he's driving a competitive car, that's good. He wants to try new things. He has very low product brand loyalty, so there's a good chance of switching him. He loves to experiment. If he's already driving a Cadillac, don't be complacent. Tell him about all the new and different features that benefits and makes this a new and different car. If you're going to refer to other owners, don't make it the usual doctor, lawyer, professional talk. Instead, bring up some contractor who uses a Seville diesel in rugged sites, a race driver who owns a Cadillac for his personal car, a rock star. Some untraditional owners will have appeal to the challengers. The challenger wants to know about engineering innovations. Technology turns them on. Four-wheel independent suspension, digital fuel injection, V8 6.4, you'll be talking his language, getting him excited. But for the traditionalists, stress the continuing Cadillac features: styling, stability, smooth ride. Another difference, formal versus informal. The Challenger is informal in everything. Very casual, very, as they say, laid back. In his clothing, the language he uses, the way he talks to you. Traditional, more formal, more predictable in how they're going to lead their lives, how they're going to dress, relate to one another, conduct their business. It's important that you establish a relationship on your customer's level. It may be Mr. Smith to one, or sure, Bill, let's hop in and go for a cruise. As you well know, in today's world, the guy in Levi's and boots or the girl with electric hair may be just as solid a prospect as the tweed sports coat and pipe. Okay, another difference, materialistic experience. These people like material things. They collect things. It turns them on. For these people, it's do your own thing. If it feels good, do it. Now in a car, that difference is expressed in very real preferences. The traditional generation wants a nice, smooth, luxury ride. They've had all the bouncing and jolts they wanted when they were young. They want to relax. On the other hand, the Challenger wants to feel the road, handle the car, to escape from humdrum reality. So when you're selling a Cadillac, you go either way, depending on the customer. Emphasize ride or go out on a winding road and stomp it. Then talk about handling, responsiveness, feel, the fun of driving a Cadillac. Touring suspension can give you the handling and road feel of an import and still maintain Cadillac's traditional comfort. That's an important idea for the Challenger, but doesn't really excite the traditionalists. You want to get the traditionalists to say nice and the others to say wow. One more difference, attitudes toward money. The traditionalist puts a lot of emphasis on it. The dollar sign is their sign. The Challenger, they take it for granted, accept it, it's there, enjoy it, live now. Have a nice day. They want to have a good time. The traditional generation will buy a luxury car because it's an important part of their money-oriented world. Money makes the world go round, buys happiness. The Challenger believes in enjoying himself, and he wants to enjoy now. Instant satisfaction, instant gratification. When can I drive it away? If you show him he'll enjoy himself more and faster in a Cadillac than in a competitive car, you've got him. He might buy the car just for the stereo system. He can crank it up and feel the music. Okay, that's the three groups we're interested in. Traditional, in-between, Challenger. A word about that in-between group. The people in their early 30s and 40s. Get a handle on them early in your sales presentation. Which way do they lean? How do they dress? Formal, informal. Do they introduce themselves as doctor, mister, an attorney? Or is it, hi, I'm Chuck Waters? Listen and look for verbal and visual clues, cues about who people are, where they fit. Now, regardless of your customer's gut values, no matter which group he falls in, your job as a salesperson is to make a sale, to create a significant emotional event for him, create a decision to buy a Cadillac. Now, what is a significant emotional event? A significant emotional event may be something as simple as reading a book, seeing a movie, watching this video disc, looking at an ad, or something as complex as changing careers, becoming a super success. A significant emotional event is defined from the point of view of an individual, where the individual is mentally arrested and has to say to himself at a gut level, a value level, wait a minute, what do I believe? What is right, wrong, good, bad? What do I believe in? How do I feel? If that type of mental arrest occurs, then a significant emotional event may shift the basic gut level value system and change the behavior, make them decide to buy. When a person's behavior is creating problems for you, like they're considering a Mercedes, then you have to be willing to accept the responsibility for altering that situation or behavior. That's the responsibility you have accepted as a Cadillac salesperson. To create a significant emotional event requires certain characteristics being present. First, personal impact must be felt by the individual involved. We simply can't rely on some non-personal interaction. It doesn't work to operate on a general abstract level. You have to be one-on-one. Don't count on brochures or sales materials or cassette tapes. Little signs won't do it. You should remember, a significant emotional event is going to reach another person at their most sensitive level, their gut level of feelings. Literally, this can be a threat to them in every sense of the word. If they honestly think that a Regency or a Continental is as good as a DeVille, you're showing them they're wrong, and that's a threat. Another characteristic that is very critical is that of clarity. Clarity. We tend not to be very clear with one another. In significant emotional event creation, the implication for the future must be clearly stated. In fact, when we're not being clear with one another, we tend to avoid talking about the future. Our points of sale, our views, are not always communicated with clarity to others. Your customer must understand why and how Cadillac advantages will be beneficial to his future. Frequently, other people don't even know our expectations with respect to their behavior. So this means letting them know why they should take action by buying a Cadillac. Clarity must come through, and come through in the most precise way. Of course, a Cadillac is a good car, a great car, but how good, how efficient, how well built, how advanced in design, how comfortable? Be specific. Finally, significant emotional events have a characteristic of speed. They rarely develop over long periods of time, although we know that the cumulative effect of advertising, word of mouth, experience obviously have some long-term effect. But normally, you as a salesperson must create the significant emotional sales event rather quickly while you're making your presentation. Generally, for the challenging generation and the in-betweeners, the faster the better as far as creating an SEE. Give them the information, the advantages, the sales presentation as fast as possible. If you make the presentation a canned talk, a pitch that's easy to see, then it may not be just irritating, it may well turn them completely off. You'll never even get a chance to start building a real SEE with sales. As we've said, they're interested in the new, the different, the facts, but product information should be given in an offhand manner, sort of unstructured, as it happens. He might mention the V864, and you'd pick up on it. Elaborate as long as he's interested. Probably not too long. Don't overload people with information. Be sensitive when the interest drops. One important point about this challenger, when he does ask a question about the product, you had better know the answer. He spends his life questioning, challenging everything, and he's used to getting answers. What's more, his question may come out of left field, a question you haven't had before. So product knowledge is very important with this group. If you don't know, be honest. Don't fake it. Say so. And then find out for him. If you try to bluff him, he'll know it. For the traditional generations group, probably we need to build, give them information, data, not hit them extremely hard with a strong statement like, BMW is not a true luxury car. That sort of statement is likely to throw up immediate value barriers that will actually prevent them from hearing the rest of what you have to say. Bring them along slowly so there won't be a sudden shock, a jolt. A structured presentation works very nicely with traditionalists. You guide them a step at a time, making them feel secure and stable. Talk about display information, fuel economy, styling, new product features, status. They're not in a hurry like the challengers. You gradually build toward their significant emotional sales event. Now, when would we want to create an SEE? When will it be appropriate? When people are paying attention, when they're involved, when they're not too tired to understand clearly what you're saying. Timing is always important in everything we do. In selling a Cadillac, in building toward that SEE, getting the prospect in the car for a drive is a major step. With the traditionalist, give him information before you go for the drive. With the challenger, the presentation is certainly important, shouldn't be neglected, but getting him out in that car and driving is very important. Remember, he likes to experience and feel, to touch, to smell, to be turned on. Where can significant emotional events be created? Anywhere. At home, on the job, in any situation where another individual's behavior needs to be altered, changed. In this particular situation, selling a Cadillac, the where is obviously in the car and driving, no matter which group the customer belongs to. If he's in the traditional generation, you're reminding him of the nice, soft, smooth ride, the luxurious interior, the ease of handling with power steering and cruise control, climate systems, the digital displays, smooth acceleration. You've got the radio tuned in to an easy music station, and you stick to well-paved streets and smooth curves, maybe a beltway or major highway. And always, you're continuing to build up the product information, providing more and more facts. It's a rather soft sell, pleasant, relaxed. Now, when you've got a challenger driving that car, you can be a little harder sell, not by piling on the product data, but by focusing his attention in areas that he's interested in. For example, use a route that has some sharp curves and corners. Tell him to feel how the car corners and handles, hugs the road, and then tell him why. Four-wheel independent suspension, variable ratio power steering, all those factors that add up to the feeling of Cadillac. Direct him to pass a car, stomp on it, and remind him to experience that surge of power. Tell him about the modern digital fuel injection, V8 6.4, electronic diagnostic, all different from other cars. Music, light country, maybe even a little rock. Use a tape that's appropriate for the system, for his value system too. But whatever it is, turn it up so he can experience the stereo in its full dimensions. Feel the music. With this customer, you want to get him involved emotionally in all his senses. Finally, the key, how to create a significant emotional event. That perhaps is one of the critical questions in dealing with how to alter behavior in other people. In order to get a better feel for this, let's take it in general, not just in sales. If we go back to our basic groups and their value systems, traditional, in-between, challenger, if we began to look at each of these generation clusters in terms of how significant emotional events might impact on these very different people, affect them in their behavior, then we began to get an understanding, improve our ability to close that sale. Up until now, you've created a series of small significant emotional events for your customer, carefully leading up to your major goal, a decision to buy a Cadillac. You may have played on his gut-level value system, reinforced his interest, or you may have actually changed some of his views. But now you go for the clincher, a four-letter word that's so simple it's almost completely unexpected by your customer, especially in today's world. That four-letter word is care. Care. A lot of people don't care in today's world. As trite as it sounds, as corny, even hokey, we need more than ever to show people that we care about them as people. It works everywhere, not just in selling. A lot of people in today's world don't care, and it shows. A lot of parents don't care about their children. Bumper stickers have appeared all across this country in the past couple of years that said, "Have you hugged your kid today?" And millions of parents would have to say, "No, I slapped him a couple of times, but I didn't take the few seconds necessary to pick up my own kid and say, 'Kid, I really love you. I really care about you.'" How many children care enough about their parents to say to them, "I love you"? And I'm not just talking about 10-year-old kids. I'm talking about 40-year-old kids that could tell their still living parents, "Thank you. Thank you for helping me out. Thank you for raising me. Thank you for being with me." A lot of managers don't care about their people. They don't inform them about changes going on. They don't give them information with respect to expectations for their performance. They don't communicate effectively. They don't train them very well. A lot of employees don't care about employers. Show up a little late, leave a little early, just lift this thing, take it away, nobody will know the difference. A lot of people in our society don't care. In the marketplace, many people think that all the salesperson is interested in is writing up the ticket. And once that happens, nothing else happens from the customer's point of view. So getting specifically to sales in significant emotional events, when you make your customer truly believe that you care about him as a person, his satisfaction, that you sincerely want to do what's right for him, that on top of the small events you've been building up will create a significant emotional sales event, the decision to buy a Cadillac. A four-letter word, care, showing it, meaning it, communicating it. It makes another four-letter word, sale, and that's our objective. That's what we're shooting for. It's easy for you as a Cadillac salesman to create trust in your customer because Cadillac has proven over the years that it cares through the consistent high level of quality, engineering, and service they have provided. When you remind your customer of this fact, it helps reinforce his trust in you as a person, and that trust evolves throughout your whole sales presentation. Trust can be built most effectively through a very simple technique. Listen to your customer. Really listen to what he's saying or what he's asking, and sometimes to what he's not saying, and then react. Respond in a way that lets him know you've listened to him as a person. Saying that one simple thing will go a long way towards a customer's feeling that you are honest, sincere, and really care about him. When he feels he can trust Cadillac and you, a significant emotional event occurs, and he'll buy that car. You know, so far as you're personally concerned, today could have been a significant emotional event. If you've gained a little better understanding about your own value system, a better understanding of other people's value systems, then you should be able to interact more effectively with your customers. Tailor your message for them. Really listen to them. Tune in to their gut level values. If you do that, you're in a better position to create an emotional event and to help change their mind if they're considering a competitive car. You know, in a competitive sales situation, you first size up your customer. Understand their value systems, then use your knowledge to create an SEE for him. And remember, keep that four-letter word in mind throughout your relationship with him. Caring, showing it, meaning it. It adds up to a sale, a decision to buy. And that's the significant event you're in business to create. Good luck, and thank you.